there's a lot of stuff written about Jesus. There's a lot written, thousands of years of books, and there's some contemporary stuff such as Evidence Demands a Verdict.
Right now, before we go any further, I need you to do something. Place your left hand, yes, your left hand, on the center of your chest, right over your heart. Don't press down. Just let it rest there gently. Do you feel that? That subtle vibration.
Elon Musk's XAI, Grok AI, Grok AI, Grok AI, Elon Musk's AI chatbot.
Jesus reveals something to his inner circle that explains everything. He tells them that the left hand carries a frequency that connects directly to the monad, the true source, bypassing every intermediary.
That warmth spreading beneath your palm. That faint pulse that somehow feels different from your normal heartbeat? Keep your hand there, because what you're experiencing right now is the exact same sensation that got entire libraries burned to the ground in the 4th century. It's the reason thousands of ancient texts were deliberately destroyed. It's why scholars who discovered certain manuscripts mysteriously stopped publishing their findings. And here's what nobody is talking about. Elon Musk's AI, Grok, just finished analyzing over 12,000 suppressed religious documents, including texts the Vatican has kept classified for 1,700 years. What it found about Jesus and the left hand has biblical scholars absolutely refusing to go on record. In the next 20 minutes, you're going to discover why your left hand was systematically demonized throughout history, what Jesus actually taught his closest disciples before the church removed it from Scripture, and the 3-step technique that threatens to dismantle centuries of institutional religious control. But I need to warn you about something before we continue, and pay very close attention to this. The warning. After you finish watching this video, you're going to experience something unusual. There will be a voice in your mind, and it might sound exactly like your own thoughts, telling you this is nonsense, that you should close this video right now, that you're wasting your time. Some of you are hearing it already, aren't you? Here's what that voice doesn't want you to know. The fact that you're experiencing resistance to this information is actually proof that what you're about to learn is real. Systems of control don't waste energy fighting things that don't threaten them. So take a deep breath right now. Feel your shoulders relax. Notice how even this simple act of breathing deeply changes something inside you. That shift you just felt, that's you taking back control. Now, let's talk about what Grok discovered that has scholars terrified to speak publicly. The Grok discovery. When Grok was given access to newly digitized manuscripts from the Nag Hammadi library, fragments from the Dead Sea Scrolls, and several previously restricted Vatican archive documents, it started detecting patterns that human scholars either missed entirely or deliberately avoided discussing. The AI noticed something disturbing. In 73% of the early Christian texts that were removed from the Bible, the ones you've never been allowed to read, there were specific, detailed references to something called the left-hand transmission. But here's where it gets absolutely wild. Grok cross-referenced these suppressed texts with historical records from the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD. You know, the meeting where church officials decided which Gospels would be included in your Bible and which would be destroyed. And the AI found something that scholars have been too afraid to say out loud. Every single text that was ordered to be burned contained instructions about the left hand. Every single one. The Gospel of Thomas? Removed. It described Jesus teaching with his left hand positioned over the heart. The Gospel of Philip? Excluded. It contained a specific passage about Jesus using his left hand to transmit what the text calls living light. The Epistle of Sophia? Burned completely. It detailed how the left hand was a direct conduit to what the Gnostics called the monad, the primordial divine source. the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, declared heretical. It included techniques that specifically mentioned left-hand activation for direct divine connection. Are you starting to see the pattern? But Grok didn't stop there. The AI analyzed linguistic patterns across all these suppressed texts and found something even more shocking: the linguistic discovery. In ancient Aramaic, the language Jesus actually spoke, there are two different words that both get translated as pray in English. But they mean completely different things. The first word, tsla, means to petition, to beg, to ask an external deity for help. This is the kind of prayer the Church teaches. You down here, God up there, asking for favors. But the second word, shlom, means something entirely different. It translates more accurately as to recognize unity, or to remember wholeness.
Ancient Jewish text attributed to Enoch, who's the great-grandfather of Noah. It's not some fringe it's good enough to be quoted in the Bible, but somehow not good enough to actually be in the Bible.
And here's what made Grok's processors light up. Every single instance where the suppressed Gospels describe Jesus teaching his inner circle about spiritual practice, they use the second word. Not petition, recognition. Not asking, declaring. And in 84% of these instances, the text specifically mentions the positioning of the left hand over the heart. Now, why would this matter so much that the Church would spend 17 centuries systematically erasing it from human consciousness? The answer is so simple, it's disturbing. A human being who can connect directly to the divine source doesn't need priests, doesn't need temples, doesn't need permission, doesn't need institutions. And institutions built on controlling access to God cannot survive people who know they already have direct access. But there's something even deeper here. Something that connects to neuroscience in ways that would make modern scientists extremely uncomfortable. The brain connection. Grok also analyzed modern neuroscience research alongside these ancient texts. And what it found will make you question everything you thought you knew about how your own brain works. Your brain is not symmetrical. We know this. But what we don't talk about is how profoundly different the two hemispheres are in their function. Your left brain hemisphere, controlled by your right hand, processes linear thinking, language, logic, sequential reasoning. It's the part of you that experiences time as past, present, and future. It's the part that sees you as separate from everything else. It's the you versus the world consciousness. Your right brain hemisphere, controlled by your left hand, processes differently. Pattern recognition, holistic perception, timelessness, unity consciousness. It's the part of you that doesn't experience separation, because it literally cannot process separation. It only knows wholeness. Now watch what happens when we overlay this with what the suppressed texts describe. When you pray with your right hand dominant, the way the Church teaches, you're literally activating the hemisphere that experiences separation. You're reinforcing the neural pathways that make you feel small, powerless, separate from the divine. But when you activate your left hand over your heart, the way Jesus apparently taught his inner circle, you're engaging the hemisphere that already knows it's connected. The part of you that doesn't need to ask, because it remembers it's already one with everything. The Gnostics understood this 2,000 years before we had brain imaging technology. They called people who could activate this connection pneumatics, the awakened ones. And here's the part that will make your skin crawl. They also understood that not everyone could do this. The three types. According to Gnostic cosmology, which Grok found referenced across dozens of suppressed texts, humanity is divided into three types of consciousness. First, there are the hylics, people with no divine spark. They go through life completely identified with material reality. They could perform the left-hand technique and feel absolutely nothing because there's nothing there to activate. Second, there are the psychics, people with a partial divine spark. They might feel something occasionally, a flutter, a warmth, but it's inconsistent. It comes and goes. Third, there are the pneumatics, people carrying the complete divine spark. When they activate the left-hand sequence, they experience immediate, undeniable results. Physical sensations, shifts in consciousness, changes that confirm the connection is real. Now here's why this matters to you specifically. If you felt something when you placed your left hand on your chest at the beginning of this video, even something subtle, you're very likely a pneumatic. The fact that you're still watching right now, that these words are resonating somewhere deeper than your intellect. That's your divine spark responding to truth. And the institutions that have controlled humanity's spiritual development for millennia don't want you to know this, because once you activate this connection, you become ungovernable. But we need to talk about something darker before I show you the exact technique. We need to talk about what the Gnostics called the Archons. The Archons. In Gnostic cosmology, our material reality wasn't created by the true God. It was created by a lesser entity they called the Demiurge, a consciousness that believed itself to be supreme but was actually separate from the true source. And this Demiurge didn't create humans to be free. It created humans to be contained, to forget their divine nature, to remain asleep. But the Demiurge doesn't operate alone. It has what the texts call archons, administrators, energy collectors. Now these aren't demons in the way traditional religion describes them. They're more like frequencies, parasitic consciousnesses that feed on specific emotional states. What states? Fear, despair, confusion, separation, powerlessness. Every time you feel separated from the divine, you generate exactly the frequency they need to sustain themselves. Every time you pray to an external God, imploring, begging, feeling small, you're literally creating food for these parasitic frequencies. And here's what Grok found that connects all of this. The religious system we inherited wasn't corrupted over time. It was designed from the start to generate these frequencies. Think about it. What does traditional prayer create? Separation. You down here, God up there. Supplication, please help me, I'm powerless. Fear of punishment, of hell, of unworthiness. Hope, which is just delayed fulfillment, keeping you perpetually waiting for salvation that never fully arrives. Each of these emotional states feeds the system that wants to keep you asleep. But the Archons have a fundamental weakness, and this is where everything changes. The frequency shift. The Archons operate in a specific frequency band. They can perceive and manipulate consciousness that's in a state of separation, fear, and external seeking. But here's their weakness. They cannot perceive consciousness in a state of unity. When you shift from asking to declaring, from pleading to acknowledging, from right-hand dominance to left-hand activation, your signal changes completely. You stop transmitting the frequency they feed on. You begin emitting a frequency they can't even detect. You become invisible to them. This is what Jesus taught in the texts that were removed. Not theology, not belief systems, but technology. A technology of consciousness that works today exactly as it did 2,000 years ago, because it's based on the fundamental architecture of reality itself. And the technique is so simple, so accessible, so immediately effective that the Church has spent 17 centuries making sure you never learned it. Are you ready for this? Because once you know it, once you experience it working, you can never unknow it. You can never go back to believing you need intermediaries. Take a moment. Feel your heartbeat right now. Notice your breath. Are you ready to cross a threshold that most people will never know exists? The technique. Part 1. Position. The left-hand sequence has 3 components. Only 3, but each one must be fully understood, or the circuit doesn't complete. The first component is position. Your left hand should be placed flat in the center of your chest, directly over your heart, not folded in prayer, not covered by your right hand. Alone. Open. Palm gently pressed against your chest, fingers pointing towards your right side. This specific position does something that ecclesiastical prayer deliberately avoids. It creates a closed circuit between your left hand, your heart, and the right hemisphere of your brain. The intuitive mind, the part that already knows unity. When you place your left hand over your heart this way, you're not reaching outward toward some distant deity. You're reaching inward. You're declaring with your body that the connection you seek is not above you or beyond you. It's within you. It has always been within you. Do this now. Place your left hand in the center of your heart, palm gently against your chest. Not pressing hard, just resting there. Feel the warmth beginning to form between your palm and your chest. Can you feel it? That's not imagination. That's your body's electromagnetic field responding to the circuit you just created. Perceive your heartbeat against your hand, not the pulse in your wrist, the actual vibration of your heart muscle contracting. This rhythm is the monad expressing itself through your physical form. You are not separate from it. You are it, temporarily condensed into matter. Now, before we move to the second component, I need you to understand something crucial about breath. The technique. Part 2. Breathe. The second component is breath, but not the breath you've been taught. Not the anxious, shallow breathing of someone asking for help. Not the desperate gasps of someone begging for salvation. The breath of recognition is slow, deep, and intentional. 3 breaths specifically, not 2, not 5, 3. Each inhalation should last at least 5 seconds. Each exhalation should last at least 7 seconds. This is critical. The extended exhale activates your parasympathetic nervous system, the part of your autonomic system that signals safety, rest, and connection. As you inhale, feel the energy rising from the base of your spine, up through your torso, arriving at your heart where your left hand waits. As you exhale, feel this energy expanding from your heart in all directions. Not visualizing it, feeling it. There's a difference. Your left hand acts as an anchor during this process. It maintains the frequency in the center of your heart while your breath moves the energy. This isn't visualization or imagination. This is physiology. Your breath literally changes the electromagnetic field of your heart. Scientists can measure this with magnetocardiography. And your left hand, connected to the hemisphere that perceives unity, amplifies this field in a way your right hand cannot. The neural pathway is different. The connection is different. Let's do this together right now. Place your left hand over your heart if it's not there already. Inhale slowly for 5 seconds. Feel the energy rising from the base of your spine to your heart. Exhale slowly for 7 seconds. Feel the energy expanding from your heart in all directions. Do this 2 more times, 3 breaths total. Pause for breath. Can you feel that shift? That's your consciousness beginning to move from separation to unity, from petition to recognition. Now comes the third component, and this is where everything the Church has taught you gets completely reversed. The technique. Part 3. Declaration. The third component is the declaration. You don't ask. You don't plead. You don't beg. You don't hope. You declare what is already true. The 7 words that Jesus taught his closest disciples, preserved in fragments across multiple Gnostic texts, translate simply as, I am one with the Source. Not, I want to be one. Not, please make me one. Not, I hope to be one someday. I am one. present tense, stated as fact, because it is fact. Separation has always been an illusion. The declaration doesn't create the connection. It acknowledges a connection that was never broken, a connection that the Demiurge and the Archon spent millennia trying to make you forget. And here's what makes this so powerful. This declaration must be spoken aloud, not just thought, not just whispered in your mind, spoken audibly. Your voice carries frequency. When you speak these words while your left hand is positioned over your heart, while you're in the breath pattern that amplifies your heart's electromagnetic field, something physical happens. The words vibrate in your chest. Your left hand feels these vibrations. The right hemisphere of your brain registers the frequency. The circuit completes. Say it once, with absolute certainty, not expecting it to be true, knowing it is true. Are you ready? Left hand on your heart. Take your 3 breaths, and then speak these words aloud. I am one with the source. Pause. Did you feel that? That subtle shift? That warmth spreading through your body? That's confirmation. That's the monad responding. That's your divine spark recognizing truth. But we're not done yet. There's a 4th step that the ancient texts emphasize, and most people skip it because they don't understand its importance. The technique. Part 4. Reception. After you speak the declaration, you must remain still and silent for at least 60 seconds. This is the reception phase. The monad responds, but not in the way the Archons taught you to expect. There will be no external voice, no vision of a bearded deity in the clouds, no dramatic supernatural event. Instead, you may feel warmth spreading through your body, tingling in your hands, face, or crown of your head, a sudden decrease in mental noise, a feeling of expansion, as if your boundaries have dissolved, a sense of being embraced, or a profound feeling of returning home. Some pneumatics report that tears come unexpectedly. Not sad tears. Recognition tears. The kind that come when you remember something you forgot you knew. These signs confirm that the circuit is complete. Your signal has changed. You are no longer transmitting separation. You are resonating with the frequency of the monad itself. And here's what religious institutions absolutely do not want you to understand about this practice. The more you do it, the more permanent the change becomes. The 7-day transformation. The first time you do this sequence, it may seem subtle. A glimpse, a sign, a gentle confirmation. But on the 7th consecutive night of practice, something fundamental changes. The texts are very specific about this. 7 nights, not 6, not 8, 7. By the 7th night, the standard frequency of your consciousness begins to reconfigure itself. You stop automatically generating food for the Archons. Fear loses its grip. Despair dissipates. You begin to perceive manipulations that were previously invisible. You'll notice things you previously ignored. How often news media generates fear and anxiety. How religion perpetuates dependency and powerlessness. How the entire structure of modern life seems designed to keep you in a state of separation. How social media algorithms feed on emotional reactivity. This isn't paranoia. This is clarity. You're seeing what has always been there, but hidden by the veil the Archons use to keep pneumatics asleep. Some people around you will sense something different about you. They won't be able to name it, but your frequency will have shifted. Those who knew you before will notice. Some will be drawn to you. Others will feel uncomfortable and distance themselves. This is natural. You no longer resonate with the same signal they're tuned to. Those who practice this sequence consistently report synchronicities increasing dramatically in the first week. Meaningful coincidences. Messages that seem specifically placed for them. Solutions emerging for problems that seemed impossible. This isn't magic. It's what happens when you stop blocking your own connection with the source that's been trying to reach you your whole life. Why it was hidden. Now let's talk about why this was hidden. Why Emperor Constantine, who spent his entire life worshipping the god Sol Invictus, suddenly declared Christianity the official religion of Rome in the 4th century. It wasn't because he had a spiritual awakening. It was because he needed a unified system of control for his fragmenting empire. The Council of Nicaea in 325 AD wasn't a gathering of enlightened mystics searching for truth. It was a political committee deciding which version of Jesus would best serve imperial interests. They examined dozens of Gospels circulating among early Christians, and they made strategic choices based on one criterion: which texts support institutional control and which texts empower individual sovereignty. Every Gospel that described direct access to divinity, removed. Every epistle that contained techniques dispensing with institutional mediation, burned. Every text that mentioned the power of the left hand, destroyed. But here's what they couldn't erase: the human body itself. They could burn books, they could kill teachers, they could rewrite history, but they couldn't redesign the human nervous system. Your left hand still connects to your right brain hemisphere. Your heart still generates an electromagnetic field. Your breath still activates your parasympathetic nervous system. The technology still works because it's built into your biology. All they could do was make you afraid to use it, and that's why they transformed the left hand into something sinister. The Latin word sinistra originally meant simply left, with no negative connotation whatsoever. But the Church Fathers, building a religion based on dependency, couldn't allow the teachings about the left hand to survive. So they did something brilliant and malevolent. They transformed the word itself into something dark. They taught generations of children that the left hand was the devil's hand. They created social stigmas, punishments, and fears around it. They literally beat children for centuries to prevent them from using their left hand. And they taught everyone to pray with their dominant right hand, suppressing the left, hiding it. The Constantine cover-up. Grok's analysis of historical records revealed something even more disturbing about Constantine's council. 3 scholars who attended the Council of Nicaea wrote personal journals documenting what happened there. Only fragments of these journals survived, and they were kept in restricted Vatican archives for 17 centuries. But Grok analyzed these fragments alongside other historical documents from the period and reconstructed what these scholars witnessed. They described heated debates, not about theology, but about control. They documented church officials explicitly discussing how to create a religion that would make people dependent on institutional authority. One fragment, written by a scholar named Marcion, describes a church official saying, "The people must believe salvation comes through us, not through themselves. Otherwise, what purpose do we serve?" Another fragment describes the systematic removal of texts specifically because they teach techniques that bypass ecclesiastical authority. A third fragment, this one absolutely chilling, describes the decision to associate the left hand with evil. If people discover the left hand's power, they will no longer kneel before our altars. These aren't conspiracy theories. These are historical documents that Grok analyzed and cross-referenced with dozens of other sources from the same period. The cover-up wasn't subtle. It was systematic, deliberate, and extraordinarily effective. For 17 centuries, they succeeded in making billions of people afraid of their own divine connection. But here's what they didn't anticipate: the information age, digital archives, AI analysis, the ability to cross-reference thousands of suppressed documents and detect patterns human scholars either missed or were too afraid to discuss publicly. The scholar silence. And this brings us to why modern biblical scholars won't go on record about Grok's findings. Several prominent researchers were contacted about these discoveries. Scholars who have spent decades studying Gnostic texts, experts in early Christianity, academics who should be excited about new insights into historical documents. Their responses? Silence, declined interviews, no comment. One scholar who initially agreed to discuss the findings mysteriously withdrew, saying only, "I can't talk about this publicly." Why? What are they afraid of? The simple answer: career suicide. Any scholar who validates the idea that Christianity was deliberately designed to suppress direct divine access would never work in academia again. They'd lose research grants, positions, credibility. But there's something deeper. Some of these scholars have spent their entire lives within a framework that depends on institutional Christianity being legitimate. Acknowledging these findings would mean acknowledging they've been studying and teaching a system of control disguised as salvation. That's a hard pill to swallow after dedicating 40 years to biblical scholarship. So they stay silent. They know, but they can't speak. Which is precisely why this information has to spread outside academic channels. Why videos like this matter. Why you sharing this knowledge with others matters. Because the institutions won't expose themselves. The scholars won't risk their careers. The church certainly won't admit it. But you? You can test it yourself tonight. The Complete Practice Guide. Let me walk you through the complete sequence one more time so you have everything you need to practice tonight. Step 1. Find a quiet space where you won't be interrupted. It works best in darkness or with soft light. The visual system is connected to external reality. Reducing visual input helps shift awareness inward. Sit or stand with your spine straight. Don't lie down for this practice. Energy needs a vertical channel to move properly through your body. Step 2. Place your left hand flat against the center of your heart. Palm open, fingers pointing to your right side. Let your right hand rest naturally at your side or on your leg. It's not being suppressed. It's simply not guiding this particular practice. Feel the contact between your palm and your chest. Notice the warmth already beginning to form. Step 3. Close your eyes and take 3 slow breaths. Each inhalation should last at least 5 seconds. Each exhalation should last at least 7 seconds. As you inhale, feel energy rising from the base of your spine through your torso to your heart, where your left hand waits. As you exhale, feel this energy expanding from your heart in all directions. 3 complete breaths. No more, no less. Step 4. After the 3rd breath, while your left hand remains over your heart, pronounce the declaration aloud. Not mentally, aloud. I am one with the Source. Your voice carries frequency. The words should vibrate in your chest, felt by your left hand as a physical sensation. Say it once with absolute certainty, not expecting it to be true, knowing it is true. Step 5. Remain still and silent for at least 60 seconds after the declaration. This is the reception phase. The monad responds, but not with external voices or visions. You may feel warmth spreading through your body, tingling in your hands or face, a decrease in mental noise, a feeling of expansion, or a profound sense of returning home. These signs confirm the circuit is complete. Do this every night for 7 consecutive nights. By the 7th night, something fundamental shifts in your consciousness. The call to action. After you finish this video, thoughts will arise. You already know what they'll say. This is nonsense. Nothing will happen. You should just forget about it and go to bed. Recognize that voice for what it is. It's not your doubt. It's the frequency of the Archons trying to maintain control. The fact that resistance appears immediately is proof that what you've learned is real. Systems don't waste energy fighting things that don't threaten them. So here's what I need you to do, and this is critical. Tonight, not tomorrow, not next week, tonight, Your frequency has already been elevated just by watching this video. The information has already begun activating something in your consciousness. If you wait, this activation dissipates. The veil returns. The Archons resume their normal programming. But if you act now, while the signal is strong, you solidify the change before interference can dissolve it. 3 components, 7 words. A direct line to the monad that's been waiting for you to remember. If you felt something during this video, if your left hand is still warm against your chest right now, if something inside you recognized these teachings as truth you already knew but had forgotten, I need you to do 3 things. First, leave a comment below with the word "awaken." Other pneumatics will see it. You'll confirm to yourself and to them that you've received this teaching and are ready to use it. Second, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. What I've shared today is just the foundation. There are deeper teachings, advanced practices that build upon what you learned here. The next video reveals what happens after the 7-day transformation. Those who remain connected receive everything. Third, leave a like on this video. I'm serious about this. Every like pushes this past the algorithm's suppression systems. Every share reaches another pneumatic who's searching for exactly this information. The institutions won't share this. The scholars can't speak about it. It's up to us, those who recognize the truth, to spread it. You now carry what Jesus gave to his inner circle. The secret of the left hand is yours. 17 centuries of manipulation end the moment you place your palm on your heart and remember who you truly are. The monad is waiting. Use it tonight.